What is going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, Leo King. We're here live right now on YouTube. So anybody on Instagram, because I'm looking down at my phone here, if you want to watch actually like a full presentation, I got the whole Leo King Studios going on. We're going to be going through this total full moon lunar eclipse. But you could sit here if you don't want to be on YouTube or if you don't want to go on Facebook. All good. I get it. Some of those Instagrammers out there. But for all you out there on YouTube and everybody out there that is on Facebook, thanks so much for being here with me tonight. Happy lunar eclipse in Leo. Now, I thought I'd come on live. A lot of people are doing ceremonies, and I'm saving that ceremony for Monday so we can do spiritual dance music and do it the right way and do it with the music and do it with the cards and really really set in, because there's some really amazing stuff going on with the astrology right now. It is pretty overwhelming, to be honest with you. I think it's a good overwhelming, but you know, for some people it could be, you know, the other way too. I mean, these are major closing cycles that are happening right now. And whenever we have a major door close, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities now. There's a lot of new doors opening, but there's a lot of fog on the other side. But there's also, I would say, an extreme excitement. And I would say that this extreme excitement is definitely geared towards more of extreme new possibilities and reconnecting to the true self, in which I feel, and I'm going to show some evidence here, that the last 9 years has gone on a really weird, you know, universal quest, but has come back to the core of who we really are in our heart, the core of really who we are in ourself. So, I mean, you know, you can look at this in a lot of different ways, but there is something about this moment, and there is something about this 2019 that is about, can you really, after exploring the universe, exploring lots of different random places in the universe, whether they're relationships to jobs to just every part of wherever you've adventured and been, have you really, you know, come back and listen to the universe, as the universe is opening up the biggest portal I've ever seen in my life in astrology, and I think that you can ever really see. I mean, these transits that are happening right now are never going to happen in our lives again, and especially all these planets in dignity, all these planets in their home signs, right? All these planets making aspects, exactly, these major squares, these major trines, these major eclipses. This is the end of the Aquarius and Leo eclipse cycle, with the North Node that was in the luminary signs, you know, Leo, and now the North Node is in Cancer. I mean, this is really a major shift point for people to come back to their true light self. And we can look at it in a lot of ways. So first of all, here's the chart for right now. I do have here, if you are live watching me on YouTube, I've got KTLA 5's version of here in LA, what the lunar eclipse is like. I've spent lots of times on my YouTube channel doing like lunar eclipse videos for a long time, and you know, I just went outside, caught it. I'll catch the tail end of it again too. But you know, it's interesting because we're in that moment right now, and I can just keep refreshing you know, this transit, and here we finally are. The sun moved into Aquarius, which you know, it's a big deal when the sun moves into Aquarius, because the sun is at what we call its detriment. It's not in its sign of power. That's because the opposition of Aquarius is Leo, where the sun is at its power position, right? But here we got a full moon total lunar eclipse, right, in Leo, and it's the end of the cycle. And this cycle began a while back. It began in 2016, in the summer of 2016, when we look at the eclipse cycles. So, you know, we could look at and I'll pull it up so people could see it. And, you know, it's been kind of an interesting time in our life of these eclipses, because the last couple years really has been this really weird energy of, I think, going the farthest away from our universal self and into a weird universe, and then having to find a way to come back to this core of self, like out of nowhere, like what, and almost like just out of nowhere, just kind of, you know, really just trips us out, like what the heck, right? So what we're gonna do, Some of these sites don't do really good eclipse tables, you know. It's like, some of them do not. So I'll just keep talking while I'm looking. I just really want an eclipse table. Can't we just get an eclipse table? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Okay, so I'm going to do some... Hold on one second, everybody. I'm like looking at a bunch of cameras here and trying to cater to these peeps, to cater to everyone else. That's Sun in Aquarius, cater to everybody, but you gotta remember, this is a full moon total lunar eclipse in Leo. Like, this is about your happiness. This is about who you really are. You've come back full circle now, 9 years, and there's a big choice at this door in your life. And this choice is, am I gonna go through and continue this door? Or am I going to go on another door that I know is really me? And when things are feeling weird and off right now, and you're trying to hold on to it because you think logically it's the right thing to do, or you're so attached to the system of, well, I have to because I already did this and I did that and da-da-da-da. This is your get out of jail free card. I'm just going to say it. Like, if you want to use that mofo, like, this is the time to use it, especially as Chiron's finishing in Pisces here. Like, this is the time. It's in less than a month Chiron's exiting Pisces. Like, do you want to live, and I said this on my deep astrology, do you really want to go through another 30 years? Like, do you want to go into hell? I mean, I know that sounds a little harsh, but if you don't really follow who you really are in your heart, if things don't feel right, if a job doesn't feel right, a home doesn't feel right, a relationship doesn't feel right, you know, like an environment doesn't feel right, you're not feeling like you're wanting to do something right now, anything, if it's just not right, you know, if you look in the future and you cast your own intuition and you look forward and you see, and you're like, this just doesn't make sense, doesn't really make sense to me, you have to take a leap of faith here towards what does, and it's going to have repercussions in the fact of having to let something go that feels hard or very difficult, but it is you. You got to come back to your own real true self, no matter what it is. There are no rules here. There are no, you know, the rule is to totally achieve a mastery in your comfort of your original true luminary light and being and self. Not the rule of I have to play life this way, I have to stay in this job because I, you know, will feel bad because I know the boss really needs me, or, oh my gosh, like, I'm in a relationship and it's not feeling right and I have to stay because I'm married, or I have to stay because, you know, we have a kid, or I have to stay because I'm worried about what the family will think. Like, all this shit comes up. All of it. All of it. Or I feel bad for the person, or I feel bad for if I do this, or am I bad if I go this direction, or is that direction going to just leave me feeling extremely alone? Well, the truth is that this is us you're going to feel more alone than ever by literally being and giving away your being to an energy that doesn't make sense anymore. And you will feel more alone than ever, even though you're trying to please everybody and please everything else but your own happiness and your true self. And that is fucking hard to do. That is like the hardest of, that is spiritual mastery at its highest. And, you know, I'm just going to say it, and you all know when it comes to the whole spiritual community and all this stuff and light and love and all these things, you know, it's like, it's like, I know that's powerful, but light and love starts with your own happiness first and being able to emit true light. And the spiritual community kind of tends to, I think, trap people in feeling like they have to be a certain way. And forgetting that this is about individuality, that this is about your own soul's expression, your own conscious of self, your own awareness, your own way of experiencing this world. And so if things don't feel right, it's not a bad spiritually thing to do to let go of it. If anything, we teach that in spirituality, to let things go that do not connect, to let things go that do not serve anymore. Aquarius is service. Leo is service to itself, but Aquarius is service to others. But, you know, the south node, which we'll show here in the chart. It's in Capricorn, but here it is, right, with the sun. So when you have a lunar eclipse with the sun on the south node, we don't really want to, like, even though this is an important element, the sun, we need to remember that we need to go where this north node truly is pointing and where the universe is directing us, because it is directing us from closing these doors that have been serving or have been on a weird, it's like our soul has been taking us to a weird corner in the universe and we're like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know? But then there's this moment where it's like everything else at the same time is saying, holy shit, I'm back. I'm back, motherfuckers. And are you going to like hold yourself from that I'm back place? You know, the spiritual community right now is very positive in showing things, but there's dharma of this dogmatic element of all spiritual communities, whether they're religions or whether there's always the dharma of spirituality itself that holds, especially in Pisces, this kind of guilty conscience or this sinner element, or this that you're doing something wrong for doing what you know and your total soul is telling you is right. And I see more and more and more and more and more of this shit every day. I'm seeing more and more of this in all my readings. I'm seeing more and more and more of this around the world. Is that, you know, people are triggered now completely by people who are following what their heart's telling them to do and to leave these weird places and things that don't make sense and truly go to where their heart's true desire really is. I mean, I thought that the whole spiritual thing was about fulfilling the ultimate love and self with God. And I think it's, last night I was with Craig and we were watching an awesome documentary about the guys who made Orange Sunshine LSD. And, you know, I think they said it best during the 60s revolution. It's not about like believing in God. It's about like, you know, I have been one with God, right? So there's this difference between like, oh, I'm doing this for God, like this separation element of like, I'm staying in this relationship or I'm staying in this job or I'm staying in this thing because that's the right godly thing to do. It's like, okay, what if you actually were one with God? Do you think God would do things? And if you even study whether it's Christian philosophy and religion, or you go into, you know, you can go even into, I think I would say every religious element or conscious, you know, understanding, that you would get to the bottom that God doesn't do anything it doesn't want to do. It only does what it wants to do, and that's bring total love. But it also restricts and cuts off things that no longer serve it, and still gives love to it, but goes forward in the direction that it must do and create what must be created. And this is a very big moment, because this is a split that Dolores Cannon spoke about before she died many times over, about the splitting of Earth. There is a major split happening right now. There are those that are going to stay in the same place, afraid of making a major change. Everybody's been thrown into the weirdest space in the universe, and being thrown in that weird space and gaining experience and experimentation and, you know, kind of running away from your heart, but actually you thought you were running to your heart 9 years ago, actually brought you back to remind you that you've had that same heart the whole time. And it got a little bit lost. So what I'm going to do really quick, we are going to have a little bit of fun here. We're going to go to the eclipse tables here, so I will bring this in here. And, you know, the first of the Leo eclipses that were North Node Leo eclipses was August 7th of 98. August 21st of 98. How ironic, right? 28 Leo. We just had the 28 Leo eclipse on August 21st of 2017. Okay, this was the 18-year-ago cycle, okay? And then we had some Aquarius stuff, and then we had another Leo one, Sun was at 4, okay? And the lunar eclipse, just like we had in 2018, a lunar eclipse at 4 degrees Aquarius. It was in 99. This one was in 18, but we had Mars retrograde on that one. That was gnarly. Then we had another 18-degree Leo eclipses. You'll notice in eclipses, they're very, very pattern. They're on the same patterns. They're in the same degrees. They're always in the same spot. And then look at this. January 20th of 2000, Sun at 0 Aquarius, 26. Okay, and right now we're having, as we're talking right now, so let's kind of back out here. And let's do a little refresher here. 00:28 minutes. And if we look at the eclipse table, we are going through the exact lunar eclipse cycle, okay, of January 20th of 2000, okay, right now. And it was at 26. It just happened exactly while we've been talking. While we've been talking. We just closed 19 years cycle, okay? Now, why am I bringing up the 18 year cycle first? Well, I'm bringing this up because you have to look at your life wherever you were at in 98 through 2000 and how something sprung up. Something sprung up out of you that made you who you are, that reminded you of who you are, that gave you the confidence to start to realize and look around in the universe and go, no, 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 this is not who I am. This is not what makes sense to me. This is what I really am. Because when we drop down and we look at the future of 2000, and how ironic, do you guys know on January 20th of 2000, do you know what that was? I don't know if you guys, remember. If you go to Take Me Back on that day, oh, it looks like this page is just going to give us some crap. Let's see. Gosh, so stupid. I'm always just like, sometimes I just have better just going on Wiki and just doing 2000 here. Okay. So let's go. January. Okay. So the Dow closes at 11,000, and this is at the peak of the .com bubble. How funny. Right now, we're at the peak of the tech bubble, right? And it literally has been peaking out and not doing well, right? Like, it's same thing, okay? Now we go to the 18th. Yeah, okay. Oh, there was a big crash. Oh, I'll never forget this. The Alaska Airlines Flight 261 crashes off the California coast and Pacific Ocean, killing 88 people. I will never forget that because just a month before that, I was on an Alaska Airlines flight on the same path going up to Oregon or to Spokane, Washington, on the same MD-80. I think they were MD-80 planes. Those were the ones where they had the jet engines in the back, and they were like by the tail wing, right? And they ended up finding out through that crash that, those planes are not the best for flying, because when you have the back wing start to keep the whole plane going, and you put all the engines in the back, and the way that the gear went down, it actually, if it doesn't work, you're screwed. And that's why they've moved all the jet engines, and you see most planes have their engines on the wings and the flaps on the wings, because if you try to control the plane from the rear, it just doesn't work. So things that just didn't make sense start really kind of get thrown out in your face. And I know this is a very harsh or very kind of crazy example here, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is because, like, things always at the end of the Leo eclipse cycle and the Aquarius eclipse cycle will kind of, like, if you already know it don't work, like, it will not work harsh in your face. I'm using kind of a mundane example, okay? But on the other positive element, like, it'll bring out, if you pick what you know will work and what's in your heart and what's right, it will show that. There was also another flight too. The day before, Kenya Airways Flight 431 crashes off the coast of the Ivory Coast in the Atlantic Ocean, killing 169 people. Now, I'm not trying to predict of airplane catastrophes here. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to see this. Although I will say that I don't know why it's Instagram said poor connection. I will say that in March this year with the Mercury retrograde, which is going to be the gnarliest Mercury retrograde I'm calling ever that we will ever see in our lives, by the way. And by the way, the last 2.5 months of the Mercury cycle building up into this Mercury retrograde that's coming in March has not been fun. Now, Mercury in Aquarius will be great through the end of this month and into February, but I'm telling you, March, I do not recommend travel. I am just telling everybody right now, into the end of the first week of April, there is so much craziness that's going to go down. Okay? And especially after these eclipses of like what doesn't feel right and all that stuff, I don't care if somebody booked me for the greatest thing in the whole world. I would have to like plan the date like crazy and the time and all that, because when it comes to travel and planes and all this stuff, man, we are entering this kind of a cycle with big plane crash stuff, and with the Mercury retrograde that is massively crazy at that time. I don't know. But there was also some cool innovations that came out. PlayStation 2. I don't know if any of you guys like PlayStation 2, but I remember PlayStation 2 was like holy mother, it was a big day. There was a rare century leap year in 2000. Usually century years are common, blah, blah, blah. 2000 is the first such to have February 29th since the year 1600, making it the second such occasion since, anyway. So that was a major thing. The next such leap year will occur in 2400. So there was some crazy stuff. The NASDAQ seemed to do well. There was a note, look at Tokyo train disaster. Boom. A lot of weird stuff went after that. The United States dollar becomes the official currency of Ecuador. Be a lot of currency stuff with Uranus coming into Taurus in March too. There were some antitrust laws with Microsoft. How funny. Facebook's going kind of through the same thing. But they all kind of come to their closing cycles. There's some earthquakes. Definitely with Uranus coming back into Taurus in March, there could be a lot of that stuff. But anyway, 2000 also was the kind of fear pandemic of, the whole Y2K thing, right? Then there was the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, Australia. But it was kind of an interesting year. But really, I think like the main thing about 2000 in your own life, if we're going to get out of kind of like looking at the world, is, that was the last Leo Aquarius eclipse, which actually technically was February 5th of 2000. There was a solar eclipse because that year in 2000, we just had a Capricorn eclipse. So we're done after this one. Now, if you move in the future, we go in 2000, going all the way until December 30th of 2001, it was in Capricorn Cancer, like we're in now, which is going to be for this next couple year cycle, right? And of course, 9/11 happened during that time. There was a lot of things that went down. There was also the election of Bush, and going against Gore and the whole weird, election there. We're definitely going to see some weird election stuff coming into, like, the kind of players that are going to come into the political field and stuff. This eclipse is kind of setting us into, you have to remember, the Capricorn Cancer eclipses, because even though we've already had a Cancer solar eclipse and a Capricorn solar eclipse within the last 6 months, it doesn't kick off till you end the last cycle, which is tonight. So let's get back to center here about now and the closure, because I just want to tell you all that the Capricorn, and the Cancer energy hasn't even really come into gear yet. It's gonna come into gear here real soon after tonight. But let's get out of that. Let's get to this chart. So big things that you want to look at. We have a lunar eclipse in Leo. Let's do it right now. See, it's getting red right now. It's happening right now as we're talking. Now, Venus is squaring Neptune at the exact moment of this eclipse, while it's conjuncting Jupiter. So Venus and Jupiter is offering the greatest. These are two bright, bright, bright planets that look like brighter than stars in our sky. Now, they are very important because these two are the most. They're the benefit planet. These two are the most positive planets in astrology. Period. And they're in the same sign, and Jupiter's in its home sign, and so there's this awesome element. But they're getting squared by Neptune very hard. So, you know, are you delusionally believing? Are you going to use your wish? Think of it like Aladdin. Are you going to use Aladdin on a wish right now that you know you're trying to fix something because you hope it's going to work, but do you really think even if you fix what it's going to work? Like, look, like even just take Aladdin the story. Like, he wishes to be a prince. Sure, that's how he gets to Jasmine. But Jasmine doesn't like him as a prince. Jasmine likes him as who he really is. So are you going to use this moment in your life? And are you going to wish to try and be somebody else, or create this other part, or hope for somebody else to change, or hope for the situation to change, instead of realizing that, yeah, if it doesn't work already the way that it is, then it isn't supposed to be. And I think what's interesting is it should naturally work on its own in a weird way, instead of getting kind of caught up into this belief system that, unfortunately, Venus square Neptune can become delusional about certain relationships and certain places, especially ones that are not really aligned at all. And with Jupiter square Neptune, it becomes this naive or this really kind of odd element where we start to believe or double down in toxic places that we're going to be fine, even though this Leo eclipse is in an exact sessy square over to Jupiter and Venus. Look at that, sessy square. So that's a very weird angle, you know, when you get the sessy squares, because, you know, they definitely bring up a very odd aspect of needing to understand here that what you're about to open the doors into in your life better be really what you really want in your life and who your heart really is and who your true self. You don't want to waste this thing and kind of, you know, believe in something that really isn't who you are, or try to continue to go forward, especially with Mars trining Venus and Jupiter. You know, it's about going forward into these great places, and it's got the energy of Mars and its dignity, but it's squaring Saturn. So Mars squares Saturn exactly too. We got Venus square Neptune, and we have Mars square Saturn, and Mars square Saturn is gnarly because it is trying to tell us on this Leo eclipse, like, not to do things, but to make sure that we make our choices of who we are correctly. This is a lunar eclipse square Uranus. And so when you have Uranus, which happens to be at the very tail end of Aries, and it's ending its cycle in March, and we're done with Uranus and Aries for another, you know, until the 2080s and 90s, okay? So you have to remember that this is like, if you do not become who you really are, and I know that this goes against the whole spiritual community of like putting community first and stuff. Like, how is a community going to be a community if everybody is not really who they really are, or really like following themselves? Like, if you notice when you're in a job or relationship or anything and it doesn't feel right, or it feels off and you can't be yourself, you can't even be your greatest self in the spiritual community. So not to say that you're worthless, but to say that, like, it's kind of like going into a battle as a warrior and like you showing up like in your pajamas without your shields on and like tired and you got hung over from drinking all night. Like, you're not going to probably do well in the battle, and you're probably not in your normal self. And guess what? At the same time, you have a good chance of probably being killed or killing someone else. So, you know, like, there's a part of this where we have to kind of take a serious tone, because Saturn is looking at Mars and who we are, and Uranus is demanding this too. And Uranus as well is making a sessy square over to Venus and Jupiter at the same time. Look at these sessy squares. I mean, and then with Uranus squaring the moon and the sun, I mean, we are seeing some very, very, very rare elements here. Extremely rare. And with rare conjunction points and with dignified positions. You will not see this ever again like this, and you will not see it for at least 18 years with another North Node, Leo eclipses, which Leo is the core of astrology. It is the home of the life force of ourselves. And this is it. This is where you got to look back 18, 19 years ago. That was when you shifted your life and said, this is who I am. And then you look at 9 years ago. This is where I'm going to combine the 9-year thing. So we're going to go back to the eclipse table here. And let's fast forward to 2009 into 8. Well, the first one was 8. Sun, there was a solar eclipse on August 1st of 2008 in Leo. But that was with the South Node in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius. Then, August 16th, 2018, we had the lunar eclipse at 24, Leo and Aquarius. Then we start 2009. So that's why I'm bringing up 2009 as a big one. Okay, a decade ago. Boom. We go into the solar eclipse that was with the North Node in Aquarius. We want to go to a different world. More exciting. We're not feeling ourselves. So we're ready to go into some crazy places that we've never been before. We're almost ready to leave ourselves. We're kind of over who our self is. We want to try something new. We want to find new people. We want to go on crazy, wild places. We want to go explore the universe. We want to get in a spaceship and we want to fly away. We're like, I am ready to fly away. I am ready to bail out. And there's both cycles, this cycle that we had 18, 19 years ago and the cycle that we had in the last decade and 9 years ago, 9 years ago, both have a similar quality of bailing out and true connecting to something that we really want. But there was an element of 2009 with these eclipses, and especially in February right there when there was the lunar eclipse at Leo at 20 degrees. That set a very intense tone because that tone was, things are changing. I know that there is a different path, but it is like I no longer know what my heart wants, but I have to go somewhere different. I can't own this heart fully. I have to go connect with people who might have a piece of that heart. I have to go to a place I've never been before and see if these people have what I can get, right? It was like we almost felt powerless without an external part of a connection or an external part of our heart needing to rejuvenate it. It's almost kind of like needing, validation or something, or needing to be separate from our own way and kind of find a way to fit in too. Like we almost feel like we needed to go fit in a different place. We don't fit in here anymore. We don't want to be here anymore. We don't like this place. So there's very similar qualities. They're just different. I think, if you continue into 2009, there was that's when we started to get into the Leo, the Capricorn, the Cancer stuff, right? There was, and I'll never forget it. On my birthday, I'm July 23rd, but on July 21st, 2009, it was actually the 20th. I'll never forget that night. I was on the phone with Christopher Witecki, my favorite astrologer of all time, best friend, and it was on my birthday, and I'm 0 Leo, and it's ironic that July 21st of 2009, or actually, it depends on where you're at, but there was a major solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Cancer, and that really kind of, I remember that point being like, okay, yeah, things are changing, and that was a North Node in Capricorn. It was like, it was still Leo moving into Capricorn, or, it was all shifting. The nodes like we're shifting right now, but I'll remember it was like I cannot be what I want to be without going to this other place. And it was like it felt like I couldn't be me in my moment. It felt like, I think for all of us, we couldn't be us in that moment, or we felt like our heart was just not truly electrified unless it went somewhere else. Where ironically now there's a similar quality, but it's more like I just need to be me and anything around me needs to go, instead of us going towards a different place. Like, really doesn't even matter what's next, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I think all of us don't give a flying fuck what's next, just as long as around us we can be the sun and we can have our heart be happy. We already know there's a bunch of, and what is gonna shine and everything. We don't even care what's next. Like, just as long as I can feel me and feel the way I want to feel in my heart, that's all that matters. Like, there becomes this point of like, I don't care. Just like, as long as it's going that direction in my heart and I'm happy, I'm good. Like, I don't care what comes next, because I'll radiate my sun and I'll figure it out. But 9 years ago it was opposite. It was like, I need to fucking get somewhere different to get my heart. I have to get somewhere different. And that's how you have to look at this differently, because even though there's that feeling of I need to go somewhere different, it's not that you need to leave a situation and go somewhere different. It's that you just need to be yourself, and anything that is not resonating with you needs to drop away and fall away, because we all ended up in weird places after that 9 years. That taught us a lot, because I'll be honest with you, from 2009, and we can actually go into, if you follow this, the last actual eclipse, August 5th, 2009, that was in Leo in Aquarius. And that was a lunar eclipse in Aquarius at 13 degrees, sun was 13. So August 5th of 2009, go look at your life. I guarantee you, there is a similar aspect to right now that is fucking happening in your life. August 5th, 2009, I had to bail out of my apartment, and I had to forfeit it because I didn't have the money. Good thing it was a month-to-month thing, and I had my deposit, and my landlady was cool at the time and took my deposit, and I didn't get it back, and I was able to get out of that place and fucking left and peaced out, and I had to go somewhere different in my life to go become an astrologer and do all this shit. That was gnarly. And I think that all of us at the same time dropped and bailed. Peace. Later. Peace out. I'm gone. I gotta go find my heart. I gotta go find how it's gonna connect. But you go into the whole entire now, and I can actually show you all this in the chart real quick. So we can go to August 5th of 2009. You know, it's kind of crazy, you know, like there was that lunar eclipse then. We had Jupiter conjunct Chiron. Jupiter conjunct Chiron in Aquarius. We wanted to go explore a world to heal ourselves. Neptune and Jupiter conjunct with Chiron. We needed a deeper spiritual, crazy, connected quest to a whole new place. And how ironic that the technology of Facebook took over in 2009. MySpace died. We started to see Instagram years later in 2011, and 2010 it kind of brought out a little bit. We saw the iPhone. We saw ourselves go into a phone. We saw ourselves go into another universe. We saw ourselves going to places we had never been before in order to try and find out a reflection of who our real heart is. And I think that we have all reached the end of that. We no longer in our phones can find ourselves. We have pushed like so many times on every fucking picture on Instagram. We have looked at our inbox enough times to go, okay, whatever. You know, we've all been on Tinder long enough to go, fuck, you know, I don't know if I can swipe left or right anymore enough. We've all just searched so much in our phones and in the universe and all these weird places that we have literally also come to points that whatever we took during the last 9-10 years of our life with us in that moment taught us a lot. But it comes to this major kind of point, because let's just go by year and have some fun here. You know, in 2010, major Uranus comes into Aries for the first time. Holy shit, we really gotta step into ourselves. Chiron leaving Aquarius, right? It would retrograde back in, just like Pisces, how it is right now, and then it left how it's leaving Pisces in a month. Chiron getting ready to leave in 2010 and move into Pisces. And then Uranus, Chiron and Uranus are both following each other and moving in new signs. So 2010, that's why I keep saying 9 years, because 2009 kind of dropped and go, let's go. But 2010 was the big drop, the big bomb drop of holy shit. And that was also Jupiter, Uranus that was going back and forth between Pisces at the end and at Aries at the beginning, which is literally where Chiron is right now, with this explosion of trying to go into understand who we are and fight for things that we want to be and trying to find our new life and our new self. It was gnarly. It was also Saturn, which is in opposition to all that stuff, which Saturn entered into Libra in 2009. Into 2010, it came back in official, which is in its exaltation. So we're at the same kind of energy, just even different, because In 2010, it was Saturn in its exaltation, one of its best places to be, the second best place. Now we're in Saturn in Capricorn, in the exact square points, right? Like, but it's in its home sign, in a cardinal sign in Capricorn. And here we have Jupiter in a fire sign. Here we have Uranus finishing a fire sign. Here we have Chiron finishing the weirdest part of the zodiac. Aquarius and Pisces, the out there weird. We have healed ourselves by leaving our own souls and going on to another dimension, into another universe. But the universe is throwing us back into ourselves. Like, what the hell was that? And then you add to the whole element of 2011, which I think was the weirdest year of all time, because it was in between the 2012 shift, and it was more importantly in between, when you look at the eclipse cycles, it was the finishing of, you know, I guess you could call it like the nodes finished in Capricorn and Cancer, moved into Sag and into Gemini. But what it really was, in my opinion, it was Neptune coming into Pisces. That was the major weirdness of the universe, and realizing, holy shit, we are really going far out. We are going far out. And I don't think we were prepared. I think that we were all excited in 2009 about going out in the universe, and it all seemed like we fucking knew better than the universe itself. We knew better than God. We knew better than everything. And it took us on the fucking craziest adventure of all time. I mean, literally, it was like we all went on the deepest hit of acid and fucking shrooms ever. Like, literally. And then in 2011, we went, what the fuck? Neptune went into Pisces and was like, holy cow. And then it went back into Pisces in 2012. Which, by the way, when it finally came into Pisces in 2012, was also the Saturn-Neptune trine at the end of Aquarius in Libra. That was pretty crazy at the beginning of 2012. But then we had the Venus eclipse. So talking about eclipses tonight, we had a Venus eclipse. Let me go to months. It was in June. And there, oh, here it is. Right there. There's the Venus eclipse. That's right. June 5th, 2012. Where you had to wear the glasses. I don't know if y'all remember that. You wore the glasses and watched, and you could see Venus eclipse. That's over a 100-year cycle. We're not going to see Venus eclipse the sun again for another 100 years, you know? So that was a weird point, 2012. Not only because it was 2012 itself, so the Mayan calendar's ending and so forth, but it's in between this period that we've been in from 2009 to the buildup of this Leo Aquarius eclipses that started in 2016 and ended now, tonight. And it's been very funky because in 2012, we also knew that Saturn was ready to head into Scorpio and leave its exaltation and come into Scorpio. And we also knew, looking at the South Node and the North Node getting ready to move into Scorpio, that Saturn, and if you were to really have been paying attention at that time, you could see Saturn was about to head towards Scorpio and the North Node was about to head towards Scorpio. So we were about to start the deepest, scary, life transformational, darkest, dark night of the soul of our lives. That we were all naive, and I think we all were, you know, ready to go into this other place. We didn't realize we were going to go through a 6.5-year cycle that was going to fucking destroy and recreate us in the greatest way and transcend like the Phoenix Rising. But we were going to go through fucking darkness, and we were going to go through our own dark night of the soul. And we also entered the Pluto-Uranus squares of 2012, which were exact for the first time, right? So when you come into at that Venus eclipse point, we came into Pluto-Uranus squares. And the Pluto-Uranus squares were intense. From 2012 to 2015, we saw the highest solar flare activity at that time in our lives. That was during the middle of all the Scorpio stuff. So let's go into the, let's just go real quick into 2013, right? Boom. Here you are. You got Saturn and North Node starting to come in together. So technically, when you have Saturn and the North Node conjunct, holy mother of God, especially in Scorpio, like reality becomes dark. Walking Dead comes out as a big show, the biggest show about zombies. Trance dies and it becomes this EDM darker kind of shade. Heroin and opioids become this big thing. Tinder and dating apps and stuff about quick hookups and sexual energy come out. Pornhub and pornography becomes in the top 10 websites that people are watching. Like, we go through this fucking gnarly, intense phase, and we have Neptune and Pisces in the middle of it all, and we have Pluto and Uranus squaring ourselves. The society comes to a crazy breaking point. from where it was in the 60s when Pluto and Uranus conjuncted from 64 through 66, and there was a Saturn opposition at the time. This time Saturn was making quincunxes over to Uranus, and it was making sextiles over to Pluto, and we had this amazing Saturn-Pluto element that, you know, really was, you know, a mutual reception. You know, you had Saturn in Pluto's home, and you had Pluto in Saturn's home. And so it was not very fun. I'm just going to be honest with you. It was not very fun. It was work. It was realigning. It was soul work at its hardest levels. And the nodes were in Scorpio, and that was also the beginning of the eclipse cycle in Scorpio. And so when you get to the halfway point, when you get to 2014, kind of this in-between, I would say, this 10-year period, like 2014, 2015, that is the peak of the Scorpio shit. That was solar eclipses with Venus in Scorpio. That was, you know, the ending of the nodes through Scorpio, which was very intense. That was some really crazy shit. Jupiter came in its exaltation. And then I think in 2014, we had the retrograde of Mars at the same time in Libra in its detriment, which was extremely hard. So if you remember at the beginning of the year, I'll never forget that, Mars retrograde started at the beginning of 2014, retrograde in Libra. When we came into, yeah, I remember that. It was at the end of February into March. Mars went retrograde on the North Node, by the way, where we just finished a Mars retrograde in 2018 on the South Node in Aquarius in an air sign. So how funny, the halfway point here was fucking weird. And there really was kind of, I think, at this point for a lot of souls and a lot of people, and if you really look back now and you really like take into account your life, you take into account what you've been going through with your life, and you take into account what's really going on, I think that there's this extreme element that starts to be like, holy fuck, holy shit, like, I'm fucked. I am really not, like, I'm finding myself, but I am like, there is no kind of getting out of this. Like, we were in a major hole, like, in the universal spectrum of things, of transformational experience. Like, it's kind of like being swallowed up by a black hole. Like, you cannot pull yourself out of that motherfucker, if that makes sense. You know? Like, you cannot. And because Mars was retrograde in its detriment, we had no energy and power in 2014. We had, you know, the Chiron and Neptune in Pisces close together still. And then we had Jupiter, which was trying to keep it all. Thank God Jupiter was in Cancer. There's no, you know, the universe shows up with support all the fucking time, okay? And Jupiter in its exaltation showed up literally with Mars at its worst position, retrograde. And it showed up with Pluto-Uranus squares, because if you remember the beginning of 2014, I don't know, maybe people haven't been watching astrology for a long time, but I'm just a crazy astrologer, so I do this shit every day, and I remember every freaking thing. Look at the new years of 2014. Sun, Mercury, Pluto conjunct, square Uranus, right? And it was a new moon. The new moon, on New Year's Eve, square Uranus, in the Pluto-Uranus square. Square Mars and Jupiter, opposition. It was the massive new moon T-square. I'll never forget that in my life. I'll never forget that with the North Node in Scorpio and with Saturn in Scorpio. I was like, we are fucked. You know, that was the middle of the black hole. And then 2015 did not do much better, but it did finally bring some light. I called it Light Reborn. You can go look up on my YouTube. It was August of 2015 that finally there was some light out of this fucking black hole, or this dark place. I'll be very honest with everybody, because like, if you actually like look ahead, so here's 2015, let's go to July, when it's the hardest it was. The reason why I say that is we had Saturn retrograde back into Scorpio. So you got to remember, the end of 2014, we kind of thought we'd get through, but there was no way. It was like just kind of like a pinhole of light. Like, what? Not getting out of this shit? Saturn retrogrades back into Scorpio in July. Actually, at the end of June. Mercury goes through the craziest retrograde ever, actually, in June. Mercury retrogrades over the Sun and Mars, squares Neptune. Was gnarly. That Mercury retrograde was crazy in its home sign. When Mercury goes retrograde in Gemini, fucking watch out. And when it squares Neptune, we all went psychotic. The world, everybody went through a major cataclysmic psychological breakdown, honestly, in 2015, and not even understanding what the hell's going on. Like, and trying to even comprehend being like stuck in some sort of matrix that we were able to like get out of. Now, the spiritual community, I think, was kind of our way through this, but it was also like not gonna save the day. It was like, you know, like ultimate faith has been the last decade's test. It's been God's greatest faith for you to get through, and I think in almost many ways humble all of us to realize that we cannot just think, you know, we can just run into the universe and think, you know, oh, we can just run away from our heart and who we are and find it out there. But it was kind of like, this has been the greatest spiritual test of our lives. And I think that tonight has been the realization of that, and to be humbled by it and to get back to who we are. So let's go to that August point. Venus goes retrograde in Virgo, its worst sign. At the same token, Saturn stops at 28 degrees of Scorpio, a very edgy, very harsh, very intense degree. The nodes are finishing in Libra and Aries, and not a lot of fun. Mars is at its fall position. Venus is at its fall position at retrograde. Just look at a couple days before this, right? And Venus retrograde squaring Saturn as Mars is in its fall position. Was not fun. And Mars was squaring Uranus, and Pluto and Uranus were still in a square in 2015. Their final squares was in 2015. So there was a light reborn in August when Venus went direct in Leo and Saturn went direct in Scorpio. And it was on, and I remember because Mars was right on Venus here when it went direct. I'll never forget this. It was the last February. It was August of when Saturn went direct at the last middle to last week, middle of the third week of August through September the 6th. That was finally when Venus went direct on top of Mars in Leo. Jupiter had moved out of Leo and went into Virgo with the Sun, and the nodes were shifting. That at 2015, when Saturn finally exited Scorpio, there was some relief. And so we came into October 2015 like, okay, shit's changed. But where things got weird, okay, is in 2016 we finished the nodes, and that's where the election of Trump is. You got the South Node on Neptune. Everybody's confused. The whole world's really like kind of gone through this weird dark hole, seen light, but kind of like, what the hell's going on? Jupiter moves into Libra. We really come into this point where we're just looking to just find some peace. Chiron gets to the third decan. Saturn and Chiron get ready to start to make their squares, which came in 2017. And in 2016 was a Mars retrograde year in Scorpio, its home sign. So if you go back to in days, and if you go back into June, a lot of situations that happened in June in your life of 2016 have come to a close with the Venus retrograde cycle of Scorpio finishing the end of all the Scorpio transit. Because if you look at any of all the years through all this stuff, so if we go to June, you know, Mars is in Scorpio retrograde. So you go into July, you know, Mars comes direct. But you get to this point to where you start to realize that what the hell was all this stuff? And everywhere we go, we get to this deep scorpionic stuff. Everywhere we go, the universe has not been in a good alignment for us to truly reconnect with ourself that left in 2009. And even you can go back to 2008 because of the eclipses then. So let's just have some fun and go into 2017, which I think was a break in the universe. It was kind of like, here's a break. The nodes went into Leo Aquarius and the eclipses happened. But there was no fixed energy, right? Like, like Scorpio was cleaned out. Jupiter did enter Scorpio at the end of 2017, which then started the Scorpio stuff again. So there was a break from Scorpio for a big minute there in 2017 that wasn't so dark, that kind of got things back on track. You know, it really was a moment that, you know, okay, 2017 kind of just got us through. And then the big eclipse that was the total solar eclipse in Leo that happened in America and went through America definitely was a moment of a break. I know it might sound crazy, but it was. It was a break. And then we come into 2018, and I'll go to the first month, and we got rocked hard. Because we got rocked hard with the North Node in Leo. We had these eclipses that were in Aquarius, and that took us to the weirdest part of the universe. The solar eclipse that happened when we entered the year of the dog literally was a dog running into the fucking weird universe. And thinking that we can try these crazy experimentations and these crazy places to find our heart, and it didn't happen. It didn't work out. And they were all connected to, you can go back to the last 9 years, 10 years. You can go back to 2016 with Mars retrograde and Scorpio that finished with all the scorpionic stuff that we just finished here, October, November into December. You can go back into the 2014 aspects. I mean, I'm trying to show you that you can go back through this whole entire 9-year cycle, and this thing was fucking just rocked our boat. And 2018 was probably one of the hardest years anybody can really go through. I mean, major full moons on top of Neptune, Uranus, Pluto finishing, Uranus then coming into, of course, Taurus for the first time, right, in May, all while Mars comes into the South Node conjunction and retrogrades with Uranus and Taurus and square. We also have, with that Mars South Node square Uranus was fucking gnarly. That was just taking us to weird places that were even weirder than we ever thought, and realizing that we are in the wrong place, that we are not identified with these places, we are not identified with these people, these relationships, these situations, but also trying to fight to the ones that we want to go towards, and having to fight through Uranus and Taurus, which is very difficult to fight through. It's a very hard sign. Uranus just can't free itself. There's too many things that you hold on to. There's too many things that you value. There's too many things that you get caught up in. Saturn entered Capricorn right away at the end of 2017, December, and came in on January 2018 as Saturn in Capricorn. And it was the beginning of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which hasn't happened since 82, 83, 84, 85, right? So, it's like we are literally right now getting out of the craziness of 2018. From June of 2018 to now, literally was insanity of trying to get yourself out. Because I'll be honest with you, if we come to today, I mean, we could talk about the Venus retrograde right after the Mars retrograde, Venus conjuncting, or squaring the nodes. During that point, squaring Mars as it came direct at full direct motion out of shadow. Venus and Mars were both in shadow at the same time. Chiron at the final end degrees of Pisces in 2018 and 19, but really, if we come to today, this is where it all is this is your last shot. Because and maybe some astrologers will not agree with me, maybe some people will, I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you, this is your last shot. This is your opportunity out. You're not going to see, and if you look at this astrology, you will not see this again. You are not going to see Mars in its home sign square Saturn again for at least another 3 decades, okay? You're not going to see this again. This is it right now, okay? That's done. That's not coming back, okay? You are not going to see Jupiter and Venus conjunct with Jupiter in its home sign in Sagittarius square Neptune in its home sign again in your life. It's now on this eclipse. Never again. So this is an open window that everybody has to either the highest dimensional, amazing adventure of their life or denial completely, and using your wish on denial. Using your wish on denial, okay? The Instagram people got 1 minute left, and then you guys got to jump onto YouTube, okay? Because it's going to end in 1 minute. We are never again in our lives going to see that square. We are never in our lives going to see Saturn sextiling Neptune in their home signs. Neptune in Pisces, its home sign. Saturn in Capricorn, its home sign. In the middle of a lunar eclipse of the North Node in Leo, it's now in Cancer, but this is the last of the Leo eclipses with the North of truly, really embodying your true happiness and heart. So if you want to get the fuck out of hell in your life, which has, I'll be honest, there is so much good that came out of the last 9 years. Hell can teach you a lot. But at the same token, really, it has been your greatest dark night of the soul awakening to do your greatest work now. And this is it. Chiron finishing here in Pisces in less than a month is faith, in letting go of the crap. Faith. You got to have faith in it. You got to have faith. And I think that that can be very difficult because, you know, there becomes this kind of element of, and the Instagram people are gone. There becomes this element of like, you have to have ultimate faith, and you have Saturn and Neptune and sextile. Like, this is the quest. You need to make a decision that's tough. Capricorn with South Node especially, coming in conjunction with Mercury during this eclipse. Like, we need to think about our long term, because if we don't, and we choose this not heart space, we choose this weird world where we're trying to keep everything together, we're trying to fix things that are unfixable, we're trying to do things and trying to stay in situations that are disconnected. Well, guess what? Your quest is going to be about living through a disconnected world. Like, I hate to just be the honest motherfucking truth here, but that's why I'm saying, like, this eclipse is no joke. Like, it really is no joke. You know, and look at that, already the eclipse is done. They already turned it off on me. And there's no coincidence I'm finishing this thing off this way. But, you know, this is it. And in my opinion, I don't know why my guides have channeled this to me, but when... And who knows if the story's true or not, but when Jesus died and was killed by the Romans and by the Spartans, right? Like, I think there was an element of like, how could my, like, imagine being the Spartan who killed, like, you know, the people who really killed Jesus, like doing what they're told to do, and they're going to go through with something against probably their own heart's will because they're told to, and it doesn't feel right, but they're going to do it anyway. And I bring this up because one of my favorite songs in the world, and I put it up on the Facebook thing, is by Five Iron Frenzy, and they're a Christian ska band that I've been listening to a long time in my life, and it's called Spartan, and I'll give you guys the lyrics here, and we'll even play the song if you want. But the main thing is, so anyways, my sluggish heart is beating 7 beats too slow. I feel like this song really touches on what's going on right now. Another sad song and another shot of blue. Cold and unconcerned are anything but new. Okay? He said, love endures all things, and it hurts to think he's right. If I mark the span of failure, is his burden just as light? Okay? So I think a lot of this is, I mean, it's true, love endures all things, but if I look at this all as a failure, is this just burdening? Is light burden? Is like everything that we do, like, is the light work just going through fucking shit all the time? No. But we can feel that way right now. I like that I am Spartan because I close my heart so tight. Jesus, save me and forgive myself tonight. And he's speaking, of course, they speak, of course, just the Spartans killing Jesus. And then this is where Chiron and Pisces comes in. Limping through the world, there's a knowing look or two. Is it just the cripples here who understand the truth? I look at the spiritual community as a bunch of cripples, spiritually. We all are. Because we're willing to accept them. We're not trying to, like, hide them. We're, like, actually accepting the cripples inside of ourselves. But there's an interesting element of the Bible and Jesus, and especially in the way that his light was brought, was healer and healing others. And realizing that we are all cripples in many ways. Why is love so painful? Why do we always lose? I think that there's a part of it where... that especially in the cycle we've been through, the things that we wanted to love and we did put our love towards is kind of reminding us that the universe and God has a way of showing us that you never lose anything, and that yes, love can be painful when we put it forward, but it teaches us also how to love what's truly aligned better. Paving pathways for the lost, the bitter and recluse. He said, loves endures all things, and it hurts to think it's true. Did it nail him to a cross? Did it crucify him too? And then the angels are singing over the plains, the shepherds are quaking, echoing refrains, and all of our slogans designed to take away the pain meant nothing to the Son of God that night in Bethlehem. So there's a part of this where it's like we create things in our life to try and take the pain away from the ultimate light of our own heart, which I think the meaning of the night in Bethlehem and being born of the Son of God, or Jesus being born the Son of God, that like we've forgotten this part of ourself, and that we are all sons of God. We are all this light carrier of the sun, and that we do need to be saved from our own self by killing our own heart from connecting and doing things that truly are not failures and burdens, but just not in alignment at all, and that love endures at all at the end of the day. And I think that there's a lot of weird element to that. We can have some fun and play the song, actually, real quick. It might get triggered, but I don't care. I don't think it will. And I have to get a drink while it plays anyway, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you all. So, hold on one second. Let me make sure this thing is... Yeah, we got desktop audio, so we're good. And then I can turn this off. Hold on, I'm trying to fix this here. Advanced audio properties. Desktop audio. Settings. Audio. Desktop audio. Yeah, speakers. I don't know why it's not working. I'm still here. You can all hear me, but gosh, this is so stupid. Really? No. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to try and fix this, but anyway, you should go listen to that song. I will end with this, though. That's my message. I mean, I really am trying to show everybody that you have come back to who you were, whether you go to 18 years, 19 years. That's why I showed a picture of me taking my picture when I was in high school. And some people got lost about, like, is this about me when I was in high school? It's like, Leo represents teenager in astrology. Where's the teenager in you? Before you become an adult... Now you're not an adolescent, like little kid anymore, right? Like, there's a moment of a teenager where it's pure heart. Like, just being with your best friend and walking down the street is the best thing that you've ever done in your life. Writing notes in class to your friend is the best thing you've ever done in your life. Or to a new girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever, whatever you're doing. Like, where's that person? I think Timothy Leary says it best. The most dangerous people in the world are over 40 years old because they have rules. They have guns. They have jails and prisons and all these things. Like, And the reason why he says over 40 is because most people over 40 start to especially get, you know, they lose that teenage parts of themselves. I'm not saying everybody, but a large majority of them. And I think that there's a big part of this where, you know, a lot of people have to, like not be that person, you know? So, up to self. Thanks for being in here. Looked like we had 1,700 people in here. It was pretty cool. I appreciate you all very much. And, you know, happy full moon lunar eclipse. I mean, if we look right now as we're leaving, full moon's now technically apexed, so it is hit. And I truly, I'll take a couple questions, but I just need to get a drink real quick. I have like 5 minutes, and then I got to go film future life stuff. Oh, quick promo, and I'll show it now because it's technically. So I'm on Steve Harvey tomorrow, and it was cool because I get to promote the pictures, and technically it's midnight on the East Coast, so I don't care showing them now, and I won't get in trouble anymore. So Leo King desktop. Steve, okay, yeah. Oh, that's not them. Maybe they're in. Where did I put them? Well, they have to be. Where did I put those guys? Maybe I put them in pictures. You guys are like in my computer with me right now. Oh, Steve. Oh, no, that's not it. Pictures? Screenshots? No. Oh, this is me back in the day when I was living in my Leo life and on LSD. Before it all went down. This is like 2006. This is like before. This is when I knew who I was, you know what I mean? Like, I know that might sound crazy. This is like before I knew who I was, you know what I mean? Like, I know that might kind of, get people all true. You know, these are some old pictures of mine that aren't even on Facebook. But this was me, you know? Like, I just had a blast, you know? Like, they're very old pictures, actually. So I guess, yeah, they're not. Where are the Steve pictures at? I guess they are in my email, which we can look in here. The Life of the Leo King email. All right. Okay, so there's me and doing the reading. Oh, well, I can't tell you about the show, but yeah. So anyway, you'll see tomorrow on NBC. I think I can do this. Yeah, here we are. So it's a pretty cool segment, astrology on Steve Harvey show. So tomorrow on NBC at 2 p.m. you get to watch astrology at its finest on Steve Harvey, and these are some cool pics, and I would love the support. Love if you guys could tag me and really help me get a lot of attention to astrology. This is the biggest astrology segment I think that's ever been done in American TV in a long time, and especially on national, like, you know, mainstream, like, network television. So no, I actually didn't get sick. It was just some weird old hernia complications I had. All right, I'll take some questions. Yeah, I'm feeling better now, you know. Gosh, and this thing is so bright. Oh my gosh. You have to. Here we are. I think I can read the chat now. Let me. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get you guys all. There's so many pop-out chat. Thank you. Okay, cool. I can get rid of this and it's popping you guys out. Okay, I got you guys in the chat now. All right. So, are we ever gonna get out shit together this year? I don't know what that question means. Are more twin flames uniting? I think there's a lot. It's a good question, Jennifer, about twin flames right now. But I think that we're in kind of like the pre-staging. So there's a lot of energy that's starting to kind of come together and feel that way. But I don't think that we have a for sure knowing yet, especially with this Venus square Neptune. I think we're starting to feel it, but I don't think we know what it looks like yet exactly. I think we know the feeling, but I think that there's a lot of searching going around and looking for it still. And I don't think that it's for sure. LSD can take you pretty far out there into the universe. Yes, it can. I'm glad I didn't do LSD during the last 9 years. Fuck. Anybody who did that? Gnarly. I stopped LSD in 2007. Or 6. End of 2006. Thanks that you got my back. Appreciate that. So what's to come for those born with Leo North Node? Okay, you're already done with your cycle, so... I don't know where it all is in your chart and everything. I'd have to look at all that stuff, but this is a major ending your cycle and whatever those places are. But you gotta, North Node and Leo, you gotta be on that path of Leo instead of doing everything for everyone else, and you gotta get out of that cycle. Yeah, I don't, 2 p.m. Eastern. I think it might be. You just have to go to NBC or Steve TV, and then. I can show you guys real quick, so I think it's like stevetv.com, and then, man, the internet is slow right now. I think it's because I'm streaming at high bit rate right now. Hold on. I'm streaming this thing like 4,000 for the nerds out there. Oh, come on. Really? Really? Maybe it's having that open is not helping things. Well, I'll keep answering questions. Yes, on MLK Day. I got everything. Yeah, don't worry. I'm okay. I'm not sick or anything. I'm good. It was just I had an old hernia and some complications, and then how hospitals are. They want to make sure I don't have testicular cancer, and so they treated me like a testicular cancer case. Literally, right? So okay, so yeah, tomorrow. Okay, Monday. Anyway, where is the way to find it? Local listings. So you just click on local listings on stevetv.com, and so you pick your city, right? So you pick your state. So let's pick New York City. If you're in New York, right? It airs on NBC at 2 p.m. New York time, in Buffalo at 4 p.m., Albany at 10 a.m., right? So depending on what state you're in, that's where it's going to go, So, California, for me, it's 2 p.m. Pacific. So, 2 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Santa Barbara, 3 p.m. Monterey, 11 a.m. Bakersfield, right? Chico, Palm Springs, 3 p.m., so anyway, but in the big cities, NBC or whatever, it's at 2 p.m. So anyway, I don't know if I saw any other good questions. Stomach issues, digestion stuff's happening with the shift. I felt a lot with that. Steve Harvey's 11 a.m. Boston. Oh, thanks for that comment. What do you think will be the best month of this year? I think right now, February. February. The rest of this year gets... There's some positives, but I'll be honest with you. This is Mars in its home sign. This is now. This is where you make the best now. You jump on the best now. Do not stick yourself in hell any longer. Straight up. Straight up. Too many people are afraid of living their true core. And you just can't no more, you know? What's your thoughts on Saturn retrograde in the 12th? It all depends on your whole chart and your 12th house ruler and what 12th house means for you. So I can't really give an opinion about that one. For everybody, it's different. What do you recommend if someone doesn't have their birth time listed on their birth certificate? You have to rectify a chart. So whenever you rectify a chart, get an astrologer like me or any other great astrologer out there, and we'll go through you and we'll rectify a chart. That's a very long process. Looking through your progressions is one of the best ways to do that. You can also look at the solar arc transits. I think Robert Hand and there's some other, I forgot what other astrologer I'd read from rectifying charts, that like using progressions and then looking at different planets on cusps, or looking at the moon position, of course, through the day, and if it changes signs, or how your progressions work, and using timetables to do that, and pulling out an ephemeris and using it and calling out months and dates and saying, okay, did this happen here or did it happen here? And then you can rectify your chart pretty easy. How about that wall? I don't know what's going to be up with the wall. I mean, it is massive Capricorn time, which sets lots of walls. In Cancer, which is all about protection, and there seems to be in America always an event that happens with the North Node in Cancer, especially in this last millennium, of some sort of issue with needing protecting of the country. So I'm not, everybody's gonna think I'm just here to support Trump and everything. Right now, I think Trump and Pelosi are both fucking assholes, because I know people that are affected from this shutdown, and I think they both need to like get their egos off. I think both parties right now, erasing Trump and Pelosi, are just fighting and not working together. And I think the whole government right now it's just a train wreck. It just sucks. I don't believe in either side. I really don't. I think both sides suck. I don't see anything innovative on the right. I don't see anything innovative on the left at all. And then, so, the right now is like fighting for the wall. I get it in some aspects, right? And then I get it and don't. And then on the left, it's really about environmental. And so I get that. But then there's this picture going around about 2018 to 2010 or 2019, to 2009. People have been doing that challenge and putting pictures. And then somebody put up saying, look at the glaciers. Well, the truth is that in the last year, and actually the last 3 years, that there's been more ice and more snow on the glaciers than actually what has been lost. And that's actually from NASA. And there's been a couple people who put out all the data on YouTube and shown it, and the media, and that picture was taken from a glacier that wasn't even from 2019. It was from way before. And they're taking pictures from other times and fooling people. So there's a lot of weird fooling going around the government stuff, and I think the left's crazy. I think the right's crazy. I think they both don't make any sense at this point. And one of those parties, unfortunately, is going to die out. We saw during the Jupiter-Neptune square in their home signs, we saw the falling out of the Whig Party. We're going to see what party falls out this time. I don't know which one it's going to be, I'll be honest with you. Although I will say that I am a diehard red-blooded constitutionalist, so some people would associate me with being right, but the truth is that I am all about a republic. So I do not believe in a big central government. I believe that states should create the laws themselves. If you don't like that California stopped selling alcohol at 2 a.m., then moved to Vegas, where they serve it 24/7. That's freedom. And democracy, which is a step after a republic. So a lot of people haven't done their history or don't know their political science, because it really upsets me a lot when you go to democracy, and when, especially, the left like to say democracy. We are not a democracy. I'm sorry to say, we are a republic. That is a more form of going towards more governmental aspect, because if we were a true democracy, that means that we would all have the same laws all over. The fact that I can go to Vegas right now and smoke a cigarette in a casino and have a drink, even though I don't drink, right, at fucking 4 in the morning, 4:22 a.m., makes it a republic. But a democracy means that means everybody in every state should be able to have 4 a.m., but it's not. It allows individualized states to allow themselves to be the way they want to be. If Texas wants to, not put tax on gas and fuel, then they don't have to. If California wants to do that, which the people have voted for, and I hate them for it, I'll be honest, because right now I'm looking at gas prices around the nations are in like $1 something, $2, and we're still paying, here in Orange County, I pay $3.50 a gallon for gasoline. Like, it's ridiculous. We're the biggest oil producer in the world. So I know everybody's gonna think I'm all Mr. Right, but it's like, right winger. It's just like, it's like common sense stuff, and it's more to me about, the original way that the founding fathers wanted it to be. And we're in a country right now that both the right and the left are pushing propaganda and stuff to get us away from a republic in many ways, and that's what scares me. And like that. And especially, I'll be honest, socialism scares me. Like, the European Union is going to fall in the next 2 years. You watch. This year, you're going to see with all the crazy transits. I wrote it in my magazine. European Union is going to fall. Like, everybody seems to think that socialism works really great and all this stuff. Like, it's falling. Canadian dollars is $75 to the American dollar, and it's poverty up there in Canada right now. And people are jumping from job to job to job, and there are not a bunch of people running around with a bunch of fucking flow, and rocking it and driving new cars all day and shit, like, all the time. Like, trust me, it is not. Like, I'm sorry to say, like, socialism is not working. And then, of course, somebody says capitalism is slavery and the rich are like the slave owners. Well, I guess you could call it that, but capitalism is the only actual thing at the moment right now that is true freedom. And I think that, people might not like me when I say that, but at the end of the day, it requires you to step up. And freedom is either you have the freedom to be great or the freedom to be shitty. And freedom is freedom. And I'm a very Uranian character. And so people associate the Democrats with Uranus. I associate the Democrats more of like Saturn. What you can't do. What you shouldn't do. What everybody has to do. And I form the Republicans as very Jupiterian, which is very like everybody should have, options. And I think republics are Jupiterian. And I think, and somebody says it's not freedom, David, but the truth, and Brexit is going to go down. I know that motherfucker's going down. And communism's the worst. My buddy just left China. Horrible. Killing people in the streets, No, Nicole, I'm going to be real with you. And how dare you, even on my channel, try and say, we know you're Republican. I am a libertarian. I'm giving you some straight up, real political science here. So don't even fucking come on my network and I'll be real, and start pulling that shit. That's fucked up. Straight up. You know what I mean? Like, straight up. That's freedom. You're allowed to say that, and I'm allowed to say that to you. But no, I'm not Republican. I voted for Ron Paul in 2008. I voted for Ron Paul in 2012. In 2008 and in 2012 was on Ron Paul's team, who's a libertarian. So yeah, sorry. You know what I mean? And Australia is not, I don't know where somebody said Austria is Republic too and social democratic. Um, but it's got a republic. And it's got social democracy. Sure, I'm sure that it can find its way to work. But again, states' rights, I think, are the biggest thing. I don't think federal rights are... the only federal right should be what's in the Constitution. That's the way that it's written. So I guess you could call me, party-wise, a constitutionalist. Because that's what saved the fucking country. That's what saved us from, you know, British law. And like, I feel bad for Canada. I feel bad for Australia, because when the monarch changes and the Brexit happens, guess what? The slavery machine of Canada and Australia is going to be used to create more money for the monarch. It's going to happen. They're not free. Go look it up. Go look up Federalist Parliament monarchy. The monarchy is still the head of Canada. The monarchy is still the head of Australia. Go look it up. Do your research. You know? So... like, I know people don't like to talk politics, but again, everybody is such triggered in the world. Like, we're not even talking about politics. We're not even telling you, like, who I think's better or something. And yeah, fuck yeah, the Rams won. And the Rams better beat Tom Brady. Like, you know? But it's like, I don't like people accusing me of, like, being something, you know, when they don't even know. It's just like not cool. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it with that. And you know what? This is where the full moon in Leo and Aquarius gets crazy, because people are going to have their own heart and their own way, and some people aren't going to like it. Some people are going to leave relationships. There's lots of breakups going down right now. There's a ton of breakups. More breakups than I've ever seen in my life happening right now. Ever. So, like ever. Like literally. Everybody I know has gone through a breakup, like that's very close to me. Everybody. And yes, I've heard of Jordan Maxwell. I did Jordan Maxwell's website in 2011. And I hung out with Jordan Maxwell a couple times. Jordan Maxwell's awesome. And that's a true story. Did his website 2001. Somebody said American dumbass. I think it's going to be funny when you watch the rest of the world with Mars at 29 Pisces on New Year's Eve. But America had Mars in Aries. Just think about that one. But Brady can suck it. And he's a cool dude, though. I just, you know, I just want my Rams to win. And, yeah, heroin is banned. Any reconciliations out of breakups? I think it's like maybe friendships, you know? I know Marianne would be cool as a president, but I don't think she would do well personally, just because, I mean, this is just through my own experience in the spiritual community and stuff. There's just been some weird stuff about her and acting a little, like she's too cool for school and not real. And it's all like through, like her Bible is, you know, the Course of Miracles, and she can't pull off that. Like she can't like find her own message, unfortunately. Like, and she can't be real, and she's not real enough. And Marianne Williamson to me is cool, and I think she does great work. So I'm not going to slam her, but I feel like as a president, she doesn't have enough of her own knowledge to come out there, her own soul to come out. It's all connected to that only, you know. So, I'm looking at I don't even know if I'm being paid or not. I can't see any of that. I'm just looking at a small little pop-out chat. I haven't seen one paid. And I'm not here to, I'll be honest with you, if anybody's sending me payments for thinking I'm going to answer the questions, please don't pay me, because I'm not putting up here to be, you know, answering questions to paid people, if that makes sense. Like, that's not what I advertise or anything. Like, I'm not advertising that at all. I haven't advertised once for that. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, didn't put that out there, you know. I think when the new monarch comes in, which looks like Charles, I think Charles, and if Trump's still in presidency, which we don't know or whatever, I think I think England and America are gonna form an alliance together like they did the last year, Uranus and Taurus, and I wouldn't be surprised if Russia, America, and would it all happen again? That was the alliance that ended the Nazis and socialism. So, is that all going to happen again? Kind of crazy. So I don't think, like, when I watch the news and I see people get caught up in the Russia thing, I always go, I do like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's badass. Except I'm like, you know, he doesn't play for the team I like. But motherfuckers goes to all the Super Bowls, and he's a Leo. Like, dude's hard. That's like props. I give props to anybody if they're great. Even if they're not on the team I don't like. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I think Harry is a good monarch. I think he's good, but I'm worried about Kate. Because Kate's Capricorn, he's Cancer, and Kate's got a little bit more control over Harry. And I'm worried about both of the princesses and how they are dealing with Harry and the other one. That they kind of have control over them. And that's a whole nother story. Are breakups finalized, or are they due to change? I think a lot of breakups are at finalization point right now. I mean, Chiron at the end of Pisces might be people going backwards or trying to fix something, but I think it's been pretty clear. And Venus has already gone through the retrograde and it's out, and Venus now is on Jupiter and it's squaring Neptune, and we're moving forward, and all the planets are direct, and the eclipses are done for this part of the year until the summer or the winter if you're in Australia or the other side of the world. So I would say that it's pretty clear now. Harry and William, yeah. So Kate is with William, right? And Harry's good. I think it's William who actually is going to be the classiest of the monarchs, and he's going to get it before Harry. So, yeah, there was something about Meghan. I don't know about her. And Kate does the perfect presentation, but she's got control in very, very powerful ways. So, anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. So, peace out. Love you all. Take care. It was good to talk to you on this eclipse, and I will talk to you all later. Peace out.